Alright, molweni bafundi. Namhlanje senza a revision. Today we're doing a revision based on the adjectives. We'll go through with you with a few examples. Okay, for today we're doing adjectives. What we're going to deal with for today are the weak noun classes. Remember, the weak noun classes are those nouns that have a vowel as a subject concord. Just remember that. We're just going to deal with the weak noun classes. Okay, on the board, as you can see, we've got a column with the class nouns. We have the adjectives as copulatives. We'll speak to that later on. These are the adjectives as copulatives. We've got a column for that. We also got a column for the adjectives as qualifiers. We're going to speak to that. All right, the first class that we're going to speak to is class 1. Remember, we're doing weak noun classes. Class 1. In the case of class 1, the example that has been given, it's umntwana mhle. Umntwana mhle. A child is beautiful. Okay, this revision, if you can follow on your books, is based on page 24 of our manual. You can just follow on page 24 of our manual. There is a table there which tells you more about this. Okay, we are doing class 1, umntwana mhle. Then in this case, in the case of class 1, the child is beautiful. Remember that the part which is has been underlined, as you can see there. That M means is. And our adjective, it's hle, beauty. It's hle, beauty. Then, where does this M come from? Remember, the M comes from the prefix. The prefix of class 1, it's U-M. The prefix of class 1, it's umntwana mhle. Then, in the case of the adjective, what we call it an adjective concord rather, is the M. Umntwana mhle, the child is beautiful. Okay, let's get another example which is similar to class 1, which is then we can do class 3. Class 3, we know that for class 3 we could do umti, a 3, umti. Let's just remove umntwana. Let's remove umntwana. Let's do a 3, umti. Then what we want to say? We want to say a 3 is beautiful. A 3 is beautiful. Then we are doing, this is class 3. Class 3 is similar to class 1 because they share the same prefix, which is umti. Then when we want to say the 3 is beautiful, it's going to be umti mhle. Then for class 1 and class 3, we use the same adjectival concord. This part means is. The 3 is beautiful. Then whatever you're going to say as an adjective for class 3, the part which is going to be M. Umti mhle. Okay, moving right along. Let's go to class 4. We are still doing adjectives as copulatives. Let's go to class 4. Remember, class 4 is also a weak noun. Class 4 is also a weak noun. Then, in the case of class 4, we've got imivundla. Class 4, we have imivundla. The example given here is imivundla mi. The rabbits are small, or the rabbits are few. Okay, the adjective as a copulative is or are. And in the case of class 4, the part which means is or are. The rabbits are. It's the mi, M-I. Imivundla mi. Then where does this me come from? Where does this me come from? If you take a look at the noun imivundla, our prefix there, the imivundla, Then the copulative there, the part which is a, is going to come from the prefix imi. Vundla, mi, nci. There, rabbits are small. Imi vundla. Another example which might be similar to class 4 will be class 6. Okay, let's give you an example under class 6. For class 6, let's say amasi. Amasi, sour milk. Amasi, that's sour milk. Then the prefix for class 6 is ama. The prefix for class 6 is ama. Then when you want to use this, in the case where your sentence uses an adjective as a copulative, the sour milk is little. The sour milk is little. It will be amasi ma. Amasi ma. Amasi ma. Once again, that ma, it's a copulative in that sense, which means the sour milk is. The sour milk is little or is small. Then that ma comes from the prefix ama. Then we take the last part of that. Okay, then moving right along, we go to class 9. Class 9, in the case of class 9, always remember that for class 9, the adjectival concord that we use there is in. It's always going to be in, 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 in. Then we are talking about a house. Indlu, that is class 9, rather. Indlu, a house. Then the example given there, a house is new, sorry. The house is new, sorry. Indlu incha. Indlu incha. The house is. The part which is in this case, it's in. Indlu incha. Indlu incha. Then, because that class 9 has got N, has got a nasal sound within its concord. It has got N. Then there will be cases whereby there are changes that take place when that in is joined with an adjective. Then, for example, with big, we know that big, to mean big, when you say something is big in Xhosa, the adjective for that, for big, in Xhosa, let me just write it here. The adjective for big in Xhosa, it's khulu, Khulu. It's khulu. Then if you take a look at page 23 of your notes, in the case of classes 9 and 10, there are changes that take place when the concord is mixed, is put together with the adjective. Okay, we are doing indlu. We are doing indlu, a big house. A house is big, rather. Indlu, inkulu. Indlu, inkulu. Then, once we have in together with kulu, once we have in together with kulu, then in this case, because that n is followed by kh, that kh, then the h falls away, we're only left with k. That's why the sounds becomes different. Indlu, inkulu. The house is big. Another example under class 9 again. We are still doing the house. Indlu. Indlu is. Then now I want to say the house is beautiful. Indlu inhle. As you can see here. Indlu inhle. As you can see here. Then in this case, our adjective, the stem that we have, we've got hle. We've got hle. Indlu inhle. We've got hle. Then the part which is a copulative, in, which means is, then will be followed by hle. Then in Xhosa, when n is followed by hl, it becomes tl. Hence we've got indlu inhle, as you can see here. Indlu inhle, as you can see here. And lastly, class 9 again. Lastly, in this case, we want to say a house is short. Indlu imfuchane, as you can see there. Indlu imfuchane. Then once again, in this case, indlu imfuchane. In this case, we've got indlu, then is. Our is in this case is going to be in, followed by fuchane. Okay, knowing our rules, we know that in Xhosa, especially when an adjective is used with in, when there is n that precedes f, we can't really pronounce that. Then that n becomes m. Hence we get indlu imfu chane. Alright, then those are adjectives when they are used as copulatives, especially for the weak nouns. Okay, let's go to a case where you use an adjective as a qualificative. What does that mean? It means that if you want to say a beautiful child, then in Xhosa you say it differently from a child is beautiful. There is a difference between these two. A child is beautiful, and now we're saying a beautiful child. How do you say that in Xhosa? Now, in the case of a beautiful child, class 1, umntwana omhle, a beautiful child. How do you get to that? As you can see here, we've got affirmative A followed by the actual prefix of that noun that we're dealing with, followed by the adjective. Sorry. Umntwana omhle, a beautiful child. Okay. We've always, in the case of an adjective as a qualificative, you always have got affirmative A followed by the actual prefix followed by the adjective itself. Then when A is added to U, it gives us O, and then followed by M, and then hle, and then you get umntwana omhle. The same would apply with class 3. Let's say a beautiful tree. Class 3, it's also a weak noun class. In the case of class 3, we can get umti, umti. Then we want to say a beautiful tree. You've got affirmative A plus the prefix plus hle. Affirmative A plus prefix plus hle. Then umti, then A plus U gives us O, then followed by M, followed by hle. Hence we get umti omhle. That is class 1 and class 3. Okay. Let's now move to class 4. Class 4, imivundla, emincinci. Few or little rabbits. Few rabbits, or you could say little rabbits. Okay. Imivundla, emincinci. Then in this case, remember, how do you form an adjective as a qualificative? You start with the affirmative A plus the whole prefix plus the adjective itself, which is in this case minci. Imivundla emincinci. Okay, it's A plus imi plus minci. Then A plus I gives us I, followed by me, followed by minci. Imivundla emincinci. Okay, we could do the same with class 6. Let's get class 6. Okay, in the case of class 6, class 6 as a qualificative, amasi, little sour milk, Then amasi, then the first thing is affirmative A plus the whole prefix ama plus the adjective itself, which is minci. Amasi. Then in this case, A plus A gives us A, then followed by the ma, and then minci. Amasi, amancinci, which means small sour milk or little sour milk. Okay, the next one. Class 9. Okay, in the case of class 9 now, when it's used as a qualificative, indlu entsha, a small house. As you can see here, a small house, indlu, entsha. Then it's affirmative A plus in, the prefix of class 9, plus the adjective itself. Then A plus I gives us E. Then we get indlu entsha. Okay, there are no changes that take place here. Everything is just fine. But in the case where our nasal N, that is for the prefix, when in is followed by, okay, let me do this. Let's go straight to this example. Indlu enkulu, a big house. Indlu enkulu, we are dealing with an adjective as a qualificative. Then indlu enkulu, then how did we get to this one? Then it's affirmative A plus in, which is the prefix of class 9, plus kulu. Kulu. As you've seen on page 23 and page 24, that when the nasal comes in front of KH, remember that. There are changes that take place. When the nasal N comes in front of KH, then we drop the H, and then we're left with kulu. Then A plus I is E, and then our N goes down. And then we get a kulu. Indlu and kulu. The next one. Indlu and a beautiful house. Indlu and a beautiful house. Then in this case, we've got our affirmative A followed by the prefix followed by hle. And then our nasal N comes in front of HL. We can't really pronounce that in Xhosa. We can't say indlu and hle like what we'll do in Zulu. You know that in isiZulu, there's nothing wrong with saying indlu and hle. But in Xhosa, there are sound changes that take place once there is N in front of HL. Then the HL becomes TL, always. When it's HL, it becomes TL. Then it's going to be A plus I is I, then followed by N, and then we get indlu and hle. Okay, and the last example that we're going to give for now, it's fuchane. As you can see on the board, fuchane, indlu, and fuchane. Then, in this case, we've got indlu, which is our noun. Then, a short house, indlu and fuchane. A short house. Then the first thing, you put the affirmative A, followed by the prefix, which is in, followed by the adjective itself, which in this case is fuchane. Alright, then when N as a nasal comes in front of F, N, F. When the nasal comes off in front of the F, then that N becomes M. It changes it to M. M, N becomes M. Then A plus I gives us this, A, and then the rest will remain the same. And then you get indlu and fuchane. That is a short house. Those are the adjectives when they are used in the case of the weak noun classes. Well, for now, we'll stop there, and then later on we're going to introduce a lesson on adjectives when they are used with the strong nouns. Enkosi kakhulu. Thank you.